Oi, what's up boys and grots and little snots, and can't forget the digger knobs. Ork Nobz workshop.
Hey, what's going on everybody? This is gthehypersapien with another review exploring the Ork miniature range. Now this box is Ork Nobz. No, not those kind of knobs. Ork Nobz. Ork Nobz. They're second in status only to the war boss. Ork Nobz are big, bad and brutal, serving as a crude, green-skinned ruling class. Knobs are never above reminding the boys who's in charge by making a few bloody examples. So in this box, you get 6 Citadel miniatures. And we'll jump to the back. Hulking greenskin bully boys. Combi weapon with Scorcher. Ammo Runt. He's a little bit of a, you know. Anyway. Slugger. Power Claw. And Chopper. Citadel suggested paint scheme. Skin. Black. Metal. Brass. And red. Now we'll bust this box open like always, the little goth symbol. So I'll pull all this out and I'll be right back. So as you can see, we've got a nice pile of loot here, but we'll go through this just like the boy box. You get a baggie with bases. You get a small one for the ammo Runt, just like the boys box. For some reason you get one separately, I guess to save confusion, as the boss knob on the Ork boys base was not in the pack. Anyway, we'll chuck this aside. Now, you get the Space Ork transfer sheet. As I say every time that it's in the box. 20 years old. Awesome nostalgia. If you're new to Orks, still not bad. A few of these are a bit outdated. Some of them are better than others. Each to their own. Some may like ones that others don't like. Still a nice little transfer sheet. But we'll go through the instructions first. As it says, read this first. You get Ork Nobz. Now, before assembling your miniatures, please read through the instructions in this booklet carefully. Let's open this up. So, number 1, A times 5. So you get 5 torsos, 32mm base. So these are a bit different from if you watched the Ork Boys box set review. If you haven't, go watch that and either come back and watch this or finish this and go give that a gander. Anyway, the Ork boys' body goes onto their legs. Anyway, we don't want to know about those little gits. We want to know about the big, bad Ork Nobz. So with the Ork Nobz, you get basically the chest piece that has its neck attached to it. The back piece has his legs and the rest of the torso and his back. So you get 5 of them. Then 1B, you get all these different shoulder pads. So you'll have a look at that. Get all these nice spiky shoulder pads. You get one that looks like a buzzsaw. Nice big spikes, little spikes. Spikes here, there, no spikes. Scratches and damage. Bullet holes. Ones with more flat surfaces. Ones with some spikes coming from the sides. You even get one with a little skull going through the spike. Now, get all these different heads. Yet again, this is an old kit, but it still stands the test of time. As in, there's some really good sculpts here. Get ones with teeth going through his ears, metal plating around his teeth. All these different facial expressions. You get this Iron Man looking helmet. You get one that has an exhaust and mechanical parts. Similar to him down here. This looks more like an exhaust. This looks a little bit more like a gun or something. Or someone's drilled into his head and left it there. This one would have to be my favourite. Ended up using that as a fantasy Ork war boss face. You know, yet again, this is Nobz, but still, this face is really good with the ear missing, the way it's screaming, has some scars going across his eyes. To me, that's my favourite. Now, as I say, you can look at the Ork Boy review I did, and you can just tell these are a bit bigger, ferocious, meaner looking orcs. Bigger faces as well. Anyway, so now you've got the body together. Put on a couple of shoulder pads. A G tip would be spray them separately, paint all of this until you're happy, and then put the shoulder pads on. Do the same with the face if you want, just so you can get under the neck and all of the neck painted, and then plop the head on top, and Robert's your father's brother. Now, if you want to speed it up, of course you can, but you can. It's not as bad as some parts that I'll point out as I go along. It's doable, but I just do the old blue tack trick and blue tack these on, do what I want. Once I'm happy, take the blue tack off, bit of plastic glue, and then you get to this point. Yet again, just like the other kits, or most of the Ork kits, besides the ones that have the, like Gretchen, some Gretchen have the heads already attached to the body and limbs. But yeah, you can mix and match, do what you want. That's what's awesome about these kits. So this is the stage you get to. So interchangeable parts. So 2A, you get these choppers, sluggers, so obviously the guns and the axes. Some really nice sculpts. You got ones with bandages, cloths around them, gloves, little spiked armbands. Ones that are more like leather or stitched together. Power stabber / kill saw. So these are some more choppers and sluggers for the other side of the arm or body, the other hand. Power stabber and kill saw How brutal do they look? Now that's a nice one, isn't it? Nice big kill saw. Imagine that, going to war with that going through you. Just like a big drill, pounding into armour until it gets to the fleshy insides. Now we got 2C. Combi weapon with Scorcher, combi weapon with rocket launcher. So obviously this is like a flamethrower with some ammo attached to it. So you've got that, and then you've got that. Very killy. Rocket launcher. Now yet again, if you haven't seen any of my other review videos, please go and watch them if you don't mind. But if you just want to watch Nobz and you want to learn about these, or you wanted to maybe see if you wanted to buy them, whatever. Another G tip is these are even bigger than the boys' weapons. And the boys' weapons, rocket launcher and so on, that covers their bodies. So imagine having this huge weapon, how much of the Ork Nobz is going to be covered by these huge, powerful weapons. So a G tip would be, put a bit of blue tack there. You can see what it looks like. You can dry fit. You can spray this white, and you can put a little bit of blue tack, spray this whites on the body, but even better would be put it on a paint with a bit of blue tack, spray this side, turn it over, once it's dry of course, spray the other side, so you've got the other side of the gun on the arm, spray the Ork Nobz at this stage, spray him separately, then yeah, you can paint all this. Basically the main point is you can get to all of the pants, the torso, all these bits that would be covered otherwise with this huge badass gun here. Obviously a bit of blue tack there to attach this to the torso. Bit of blue tack here so you can attach it to this hand here. You fit that onto there. You basically got your whole model assembled, but you can take it apart if you can't get to places. Just makes life easier. Now if you're just someone who wants to smash them together, throw a bit of paint on and play, that's fair enough. But if you're like me and you enjoyed taking your time and painting, use some of these G tips. So you could, if you wanted as well, glue the arm to this hand that has the weapon, so it's kind of like this. But you know, it might not just be perfect if you've glue and then later on you realise that you might have made a slight mistake and the arm might not be quite in line with the body. So you can't go wrong with some bit of cheap blue tack. It's a lifesaver. So now we're on to 2D, Big Chopper. So it says use matching parts. Where if you're a bit more advanced, if you're new, you might want to follow these instructions, how it tells you. If you're a bit more advanced, I'm sure you could muck around and not have to use matching parts. But some of these are double-handed axes, so a lot of the weapons might not align properly with the torso if you do mix and match. But if you use the old blue tack treatment, you can see if you can mix them up a little bit. But anyway, this one, these are double-handed axes or big chopper. So this one's got his fist out and he's just holding it kind of almost over his shoulder, or, oh yeah, I'm ready to take on some Space Marines and I don't really give a... So yeah, otherwise, my suggestion again, G-tip, bit of blue tack, and you've got it to this point. You won't really be none the wiser if you use a little bit of blue tack. You can't really see it, but it's stuck together. And again, and again, and then again. So as you can tell, you get all these awesome variations of what a big chopper is, different shapes and sizes, some with cables all everywhere, some with smaller cables. Just as you can tell, an amazing kit. Now the third step is, now you get all this little piece that goes in between the shoulders. And I know a lot of people have said they didn't actually know what these parts were for. They thought they were more shoulder pads, which, yeah, without really looking at the kit or the instructions properly, I probably would have thought they were just shoulder pads or bits that maybe go wherever, really. But yeah, you get the shoulder pads and this piece nicely goes in between it. But yet again, with these kits, especially if you were more advanced with modelling, you can do what you want, really. You could even green stuff where the shoulder pad meets and it has a hole there. You could even green stuff over that if you didn't even want shoulder pads. But anyway, that's a little bit off topic. So you get this piece that goes in between the shoulder pad. Now you get some knob boss poles. Now these are all the different glyphs. So you get a pole. So you get this little tab that comes out. That goes into the knob's back. He has a hole there. You get another one a bit smaller. So you can have your blood axes, snake bites, your evil suns, bad moons. Or you can even get a good old bag of grenades. Who doesn't love that? You can get another gun. Or you can get some poles that are already assembled. So you get the old skull. You get another little glyph. Different ones. Bits of hair or teeth and whatnot hanging off, or you get your nice little squig. And that's an awesome one. Who doesn't love a little squig hanging off your back? Also has a gun there. Also you get to this point, so that goes there, and the boss pole. We mentioned the hands before. Get these sort of little crutch decorations, a bit of cloth, sort of pinned together, a bit of metal, or it could be, depending on how you paint it or how you look at it, it could be a fabric of some kind. Some skulls, not quite sure what they are though. I guess knobs are meant to be big, but I don't quite think human skulls are that big. Might be maybe a grot. Even though they look more like human ones, who knows, could be little snotlings that annoy them. And then you get to this point. So yet again you can mix and match and make them how you want. But this is obviously how they show you how they build. You get different variations of the weapons. Now there's not much left besides a boss knob. Who doesn't love a boss knob, hey? So he's built however you want, I guess, but it's sort of basically adding accessories to what you saw before. Now you get some jaw pieces. Obviously that goes around his gob. You get some top knots. Obviously that goes in his noggin. Now it has my favourite little squiggy. Now you can add these little baggies of bullets or whatever he may be keeping in there. A gun. And then you get these little parts that go over his arm, his shoulder. Just trying to bulk him out. See, that's what he looks like when he's got, it's like this little shoulder guard, his gob over his gob, or his metal jaw. This one has two big choppers. He has his gun on his side just in case he needs to drop one of them and shoot a bit. You see there where the actual arm guard goes over his bicep. Now last but not least, and I'm not the biggest fan of this model, is the ammo runt. And he's just a bit lacking in detail, and if you get a big enough army eventually, so you might have been watching this because you're a new collector or just looking into the Ork range to see if it's for you, but he's on a 25mm base. This is an old kit, but he just doesn't really stand the test of time, and even when this first come out, I won't be ranting and raving about him, but either way he does the job, doesn't he? So you get half of the ammo crate with his leg, you get the other half of the ammo crate, bang it together, that leg goes into his little skirt piece. He's holding his ammo, he's got a grenade ready to throw, he's got his little face. There he is. Now, like always, we'll quickly go over these rules. The actual sprue of miniatures. So how good and detailed and nice do they look? All different variations. You got some accessories. As mentioned before, you get the front piece, you get the body, you attach them together. How detailed do they look though? All these bits of armour and trophies and glyphs hanging off them. Ammo belts, ammos on chains. Get all these different choppers. This one has his kill count. Get different ones with wires and different bits and pieces hanging off it. We'll get him out of the way, the ammo runt. So I mean, it's not too bad, but say if you wanted a lot of these, could have gave a couple of different options for him. So his little face isn't that detail compared to other Gretchen snots or grots or whatever. Now these are the faces. This is my favourite one by far. Looks staunch as. These are the double-handed big choppers. You get the little bit that goes around the crotch. You get your glyphs or your boss poles. Get your poles and other attachments like the stick bomb bag. It's a little bit dated now. Some of the detail could be a little bit more crisp or just a little bit. At the end of the day, that's an awesome looking squig though. Get all your clan glyphs or symbols. So you get your claws. So you get that piece with the arm, and then you basically can choose, there's a little slot, and you can choose which type of blade you want. Yeah, you can get the top knots. You can get your rocket launchers. Your combi burner. You get your jaw plates. You get your shoulder pads. You get ones with spikes on them, or glyphs, or scratches and bullet holes, and all that good stuff. Now you get 4 bodies here. So this is kind of your heavy or boss sprue, I guess. I mean, how awesome does that spiked shoulder piece look? That looks pretty deadly as well. You get your nice blade gun combination. So you get a nice amount of accessories. Obviously build them one way or another depending how you please. Get these cyborg looking ones. Looks like Robocop, Robo-Ork. These are those pieces that go in between the shoulder pads. So they don't quite have as much of a curve to go around the shoulder. They go in between, but also I'll point out these have all that little notch. That's how as well you know that it's a shoulder pad. Because if you look here, as I mentioned before, you could, if you really wanted green stuff over that, if you didn't want shoulder pads, if you wanted a bit more snake bite or maybe less armoured orcs, could green stuff or do something there. But basically that's the part that goes over his body. And then you choose a couple of these to put on his shoulder. As I say, that little notch will fit nicely and snug into the holes there, those little rectangle holes. So yeah, it's a really good kit. This and the Ork boys kit, they both kind of stand the test of time, even though, I mean, it'd be nice to get an upgrade. Has been, what, 20 years? But still, it's a solid set of 5 or 6, I guess, if you count that ammo run. Miniatures is a nice set. Like most Ork stuff, you get tons of accessories. You can build them however you want. You can, if you bulk buy stuff, you could have multiple of the same heads, or you could cut them up. Say, cut off the horns on him, like you could cut the horns off just to make him a little bit different. You could, however you please, and just have multiple of the same heads, whatever. Do what you please, it's your miniatures. There's a lot of variations, there's a lot of options here. There's so much variation, so much variety here. Just like I mentioned on the Ork Boys review, you get a lot of options. You get different gun melee options depending on how you want to build them. If you want an up close knob boy army, if you want more shooty army, depending on how you please. You get a lot of the leftovers. Who doesn't like to add bits to their bits box? Who doesn't like customizing and chopping and changing their orcs and having loads of bits? So this kit, the Ork Boys kit, and many other kits that I'll review soon, plenty of leftovers. You can customize them, you can build them how the instructions say, you can customize them, you can add plates to here if you wanted, some of those shoulder plates or the middle back piece. You can add all sorts, do what you want, chop them up. If you're an advanced modeler, chop them up, change them. If you're a little less advanced, build them how they tell you to build them. If you're a young'un, a youth, maybe get an adult to help you with cutting and changing. If you just want to smash them together to get them on the tabletop. Just one last thing that I could show you is, this is one that's been built already. So there's a little bit too much blue tack there, because obviously I haven't gone through the priming stage yet. And I have stuck the shoulder pads on this one. I have stuck the head on this one. Obviously the boss pole, or whatever you choose to put on, you could even green stuff or put some putty or whatever over the back there if you don't want any. But yeah, I even blue tack them to the base so I can pull them off and do the base with texture or paint or however I choose to do it, tufts and flock or whatever, then glue them on. I'm not 100% sure, but the middle piece might cover a bit of his neck, so it might be hard just to get into the visible part of his neck. But boom, boom, boom. As I say, how are you going to really get to all this nice detail and just make this look good? Even if you don't see it that well, you will see some of it. And if you paint it nicely, add a bit of detail, do the same here. You can stick it to a paint pot or whatever. Or even if you really wanted, you could paint it, hold at one end, paint it. You can put it on a painting handle, however you choose, however's easiest for you. You paint all this. You can keep on looking at how it looks or work out how it looks. See the blue tack, just barely even have to touch it and it all sticks together. But you can just see how it's going to be difficult or annoying to get under here, and also to paint sort of towards the back of this part, the weapon, and that's my opinion. Do as you please, but a little G tip is the old blue tack. You can take this off, really paint this up nicely, and then once you're ready, plastic glue it all together. So that's what a knob looks like when he is put together, even though some of it's blue tack. And I haven't done this in any other reviews, but that's a boy and that's a knob. Smaller base, obviously smaller orc. Yeah, you can really see the size difference. So far we've reviewed exploring the orc miniature range, we've had our Gretchen, we've had our boy, and now we've had our knob. All the different size difference for each troop. It's an awesome kit though. Hope you liked this review. As always, thanks for watching. Gthehypersapien out.